Carrot, who is Executive Vice President of the Boeing Company and President and CEO of Defense, Space, and Security Boeing. To her right, Dr. Arati Prabhakar, the Director of DARPA. To her right, Shahar Abouhazira, who is the CEO of Roboteam Incorporated. I'm going to let him tell you a little bit more about Roboteam when it's his turn to give some opening comments. And then to his right, Pierre Chow, famous, of course, because he's a previous director of the Defense Industrial Initiatives Group at CSIS, and what more could one hope for than that? So we're going to start today with Mr. Kendall. If you could just give us kind of your opening thoughts on third offset strategy, what does it mean for industry and DoD partnership?
The third offset is the phrase we're using to describe the things that we're trying to do to give us a substantial military advantage based largely on technology, but it also encompasses operational concepts. So we are back in a situation where we need to be competitive. We need to do more to ensure we retain an advantage.
I think it is safe for me to say that all of us are here for the very same reason, which is to provide those men and women who are in the fight 24/7, day after day, to allow us to have these types of conversations, the ability to have an unfair fight. One that allows them to have the capabilities and technologies that will allow them to advance their position and know that the capabilities that they have will not be defeated by our adversaries.
So we look across that entire landscape at DARPA, and when we think about what's coming down the pike, huge number of different very interesting technologies, and we could spend as much time as anyone would like talking about any of them, because we believe that what's going to be necessary in this next generation of military capability will require some fundamental rethinking about the architectures with which we fight in the air and on the ground and in space and in the maritime environment.
I would argue if third offset is to sort of truly meet the goal, and the best way to incentivize industry is don't tell them I want a better blank, tell them this is my number one problem, you go out and figure out how to solve it, right, which is how sort of the approach that you come at.
So a few words about Roboteam. We opened the company not too long ago. It looks like I was born in Roboteam, but actually it's been only 6 years, and we do what we do about 4.5 years now. We are developing small unmanned ground vehicles, small robotic systems for all kinds of military purposes. And I'm proud to say that we are today probably the #1 provider of this kind of systems in the world. We have a direct communication with operators and end users. Regardless to the fact that 75% of our companies are like veterans, ex-military, we are listening to the soldiers, and we are not going to wait for this need to become a document, to become a requirement, become a specification. It will take 3 years, and it will be just not relevant anymore. We developed a system in Roboteam to do short cycles of development, and it takes us few months to get an idea to the field. We are investing a lot of money of course, in our standards, a lot of money in R&D. We are making sure that everything will be very, very simple. We can't expect operators, and I'm not talking about the expert, I'm talking about the big military, the army, the infantry, maneuver forces, to use complicated systems. It needs to be simple. We need to do exactly what Apple did with the iPhones. We need to do it to ground robotics in our case.
If you look at what we're doing with SCO, if you look at what we're doing with DIUX, if you look at what we're doing with the services and the labs and so on at DARPA, these are generally things to get us ready to have a funded program for development for production and production itself. They are not that. That takes money that we don't have, and that's what keeps me awake at night.
I can tell you Roboteam participated in several big programs. We won competitions based on technical evaluations and still provided systems half of the price of our competitors. I would just, finish with a short story. Mr. Kendall came to visit us 2 years ago in Tel Aviv. It was doing protective edge operation, and this was a great example to what is really Roboteam is all about. Operators, Gaza from Tel Aviv, it's about 1 hour drive. It's not Afghanistan to DC. They are driving in the morning, saying to us, this is the problem that we have with your systems. This is what we want to change. This is what we want to modify. We're saying to them, okay, come back in the morning, working all night, providing solutions, simple solutions to the field a day after. Now, of course, this is an extreme situation, but this is the approach, and this is probably our implementation to the third offset approach.